Hi folks, this is Renee again. Um, I'd like to talk today about the benefits of having 4K screens for your development and also the separation of a live server and a development server and using Git to flush the source codes from a development machine via github.com, either a public or a private repository on github.com, to your live server. At the moment, I have WAMP server, WAMP server.com/en for English, running my localhost here, which I'll try to highlight. Here it says localhost, and that basically runs on the machine, which is a Core i7 machine with lots of memory, SSD, etc. And here we have the live server that is viewable from the internet, which runs a slightly older version of my software. Now, the added benefit of having a 4K screen is that instead of having only 1,000 pixels vertically, you have 2,000 pixels vertically and 4,000 horizontally. And then you start to notice things in your software like the stretching of artwork files. Now, the latest version, which I'm still working on, doesn't do that. It simply takes a smaller texture file and uses the background repeat option in CSS3 to display the new dialog, which is already merged into the existing Vivid Dialog code. These things here, that window, I also call a dialog in my code. And well, the main trick is you want to have those beautiful 4K screens hooked up to one machine only, although you do want to hook up the VGA wire on both on both monitors. So it has both monitors here have VGA wires connected, but they're not doing anything at the moment. Here, that's my VGA cable, this one here. VGA is, to put it simply, perfect and plenty for hooking up a Core i5 machine with a 26-inch 1K display adapter or graphics card. And as you can see, this mouse is also hooked up to the server together with this keyboard. That's Ubuntu, which I'm very happy is available for free on ubuntu.com. And if you want to install it, I recommend using Pendrive Linux. So Google that as well, Pendrive Linux. It allows you to make a USB drive with the installation files for Ubuntu, and you don't need a USB key larger than 8 gigabytes because the whole installation of Ubuntu takes up about 2 gigabytes. Now, keyboards and mouses are linked and stay linked up with the same machine, just so you know which keyboard and mouse to use, otherwise you come off looking like a complete nerd instead of a technician. And that's basically the entire story about using old monitors, this one, as your server monitor, and the larger, newer displays, they are used for development purposes, because having 2000 pixels vertically instead of just 1,000 really does help produce better code. I can say that after using it for about a week. Yeah. Anything else that needs to go into this video? Oh yeah. Instead of spending my money at clubs and bars, I'm gonna invest yet another time in a new shelf, which goes from there on the wall all the way to about there on the wall, at this height of course, so that I can hook up the other smaller monitor that I now have as backup monitor to the laptop. So if I want to watch a news story, which I also get through the web, live news, then I hook up the laptop to another 26-inch monitor, which is at this level in my house after the shelf gets drilled into the wall, and I use the laptop to watch live news. Oh, and of course audio. If you have an old ghetto blaster lying around, well, it does produce a lot better sound than what you buy at computer stores in terms of sound speakers. Yeah, and to not make this video any longer than it needs to be, I'll just close it off at about the 7-minute mark. Oh yeah, and only Windows, this is the last bit and it's fairly important. At the moment a 4K monitor is best supported by Windows. Ubuntu Linux just doesn't cut it, because I think the Ubuntu developers don't get enough time to talk to graphics card manufacturers, so the driver is always out of date, and my server was offline for about 3 months while I was away from my home because of the driver the entire Ubuntu upgrade failing because of the new graphics card. I tried installing Ubuntu on my development machine there, and it just failed and wasn't even usable anymore. So that's when I bought a Windows license for 120 euros, and yeah, each monitor costs about 600 euros. The machine itself costs about 800. So skimping on a Windows license of 120 euros, skipping a Windows license of 120 euros, it's just not the smartest thing to do. So I'm very happy with the setup, and you can expect updates of my code pretty much twice a week for the next coming weeks at least, because I really want to get this dialogue stuff fixed. And here, what CSS3 can't do yet is that animating of the corner itself. That's why I have a bunch of JavaScript controlling the CSS3, and I simply call it a canvas dialog. But since I already have existing code that is called a vivid dialog, this code to do this is now in the JavaScript that also controls this. The difference is between the two, this has a JSON file specifying one large texture file for the entire thing, which gets stretched and becomes ugly at larger resolutions. And it's for smaller screens also too much to download, such as your cell phone, hint. And once I get rid of the additional bugs, or the leftover bugs, whatever you want to call them, I'll be able to say I want to resize this dialog and grab it here and then drag it to say here, and that this now becomes the north and eastern boundary of this dialog, and then the rest of the code figures out what to do with this. It's a mix of what the developer thinks is good for the user and what the user wants. So simply put, see, it lights up. It's a color animation. And then you can drag and resize the dialogues on any Seductive Apps site, which is one of the selling features. Yeah. Okay, that's enough for now. I just go into repetitions if I continue, so clicking stop at around 11-minute mark. Bye for now.